And good evening, Facebook or YouTube or wherever the hell you're watching us on. Welcome to Left Unsupervised
Yes, I'm Diana Rachel, and this is my partner
in
in
crime.
dubious activities, Nikki Diana.
Sorry, we meant to start a little bit earlier, but we were having all kinds of technical difficulties. Not the whiskey related kind, actual technical difficulties.
Yeah, the whiskey came after, or as the medicine for. Um,
So much better.
yes, yes. So thank you for joining us. And I mean, we tried to give you a little more heads up than normal tonight. So we are here on Tuesdays, frequently Tuesdays at random, but on Tuesdays to rant about people being wrong on the internet, especially in the pagan and occult world.
Yes, yes, because just because we're mystics doesn't mean that we're oftentimes very intelligent.
Uh huh.
I have been guilty of that quite a few times. Again, not whiskey related.
Oh, mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm seeing the tilted halo there, but sure.
well, you know what? I kind of traded the horns in for or the halo in for better horns. We're just kicking
That's
off the halo this week. It might be packed in a box somewhere. I still don't know. Uh,
that's kind of where I'm at.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Movers just showed up today that I wasn't expecting till the 21st.
Oh gosh.
And we were supposed to be moving into our office today.
Oh,
So that's, well, we needed the furniture, so we have the furniture. We just have to find it.
well, there you go. My office is still the kitchen table. So,
Yeah,
well, I guess it's the dining room table now because my kitchen is no longer big enough to support my table.
yeah.
But that's okay because I'm in a nicer apartment now.
You are. Our roles have slipped. Your home is actually much larger than mine is now.
Fair, fair.
So, and we are trying to, because my partner's kids were absolute sweethearts, and they know I'm a writer, and they wanted me to make sure that I could work while I was here. They offered to share a room so I would have a space to work until we could work out an office situation.
See that that is very welcoming.
That's incredibly sweet of them.
Yeah.
I also think it's because it gave them more opportunities to play pillow fort.
Also valid reasoning.
Yes, yes. So, which it works for everyone. So we are getting a an office and a forge set up in Michigan, where I am going to start seeing clients soon.
We're
And
very excited about that. You had some author events this weekend too.
yeah, I did the Michigan Paganish Book Fest, which was a lot of fun. I guess it was. I didn't know a lot about who was sponsoring it until afterwards. I guess it was part of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church, and we've seen some of them at
Oh,
Michigan in TheaCon. And there was some really good authors on that roster. There was some interesting stuff, and it was done in a much more literary reading style that a lot of pagan authors don't do.
hmm.
So there's a few of us, especially the pagan authors that also write fiction. They're a little more familiar with the lit circuit. And the literary circuit's like an entirely different universe. It doesn't matter what the topic is as long as you can write. That's what people care about.
Okay.
And so, like, I did some lit circuit type stuff in Minneapolis. I didn't really get into it in San Francisco because if you were it was very cordoned off by age, and if you were over 35 or under 55, nobody wanted your voice,
Oh.
which is why I didn't really find a writers community in San Francisco, which was a huge frustration for me the whole time.
Yeah, I do
um,
remember you saying that. I know
yeah,
that you tried a couple groups that just didn't work out.
they didn't, and I did try. I know that the other thing is there's the cultural thing, because San Francisco at that time, and I'm seeing it changing because of coronavirus, really, but it was much more culture war based on age.
Hmm.
And I mean, us Gen Xers, we kind of got stuck in the middle and, ignored, and it caught a couple BuzzFeed things talking down to us like we're the ones that are Jew.
Hmm.
um, but it was just, it's probably the proximity to Hollywood, where it's all youth, youth, youth. And Minneapolis, it was very especially with writers groups, you needed to mix all age groups because this is the way you get the different perspectives you need when you're getting feedback. I had some fantastic people in this one poetry group I was in, and we were all from completely different demographics. And it made us better writers because we had to think about things we never would have.
Hmm.
If you're looking for, this is the writer's mistake, because if you're looking for people that have stuff in common with you, you're not going to learn.
Yeah.
And I know this is something with a lot of occult. First of all, academic writing is actually usually bad writing. The reason it's so hard to read is because the writers are actually bad at it, but they like to use big words to show that they got the degrees. So most academic writing is in fact complete ass, poorly written, and just passes a grammar check.
You don't have strong feelings about this at all.
No, not at all. No, no, no. No, it's not like I have 20 years experience, including working as a journalist, to try to make myself fucking understood. Um,
Okay,
um,
so you did the literary
I did
circuit,
the
and
literary.
you also did an
I did
uh,
I did a Q&A for the book club at Elements Bookshop at
book club.
Elements
That was the term I was thinking of.
Kalamazoo. And that was fun. A lot of people decided to do the social distance thing because it was a small shop. There wasn't really a good way for people to be in there.
Hmm.
So we decided to do a Facebook Live with the owner and a couple of the shop employees, and that worked out really well.
Yeah, I thought that was great because I was actually able to see that.
Yeah, they had some really good questions, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was
So,
nice because you were able to get a lot of good questions online as well.
yeah, yeah. And I'm still kind of circling back because I've noticed a lot of people are watching, but they haven't. I think they're still kind of digesting.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
but
oftentimes I find from the Facebook lives we get the feedback afterwards.
yeah,
Because sometimes people don't think they're like, well, I wanted to ask this question, but I wasn't sure if it was a weird question. And if you're watching us now, please know we enjoy the weird questions.
they're all weird questions. Please ask.
Yeah, I would like some just weird off the wall
I mean,
questions.
I prefer the weird questions to the normal questions, especially as a reader.
Yeah,
The why doesn't he love me? Well, probably mother issues and need for a therapist, but in the meantime,
yeah. Which is probably much nicer than how I'd put it.
yeah, probably.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Yeah, or not getting the boring like when you meet someone new and they find out you're a witch. Do you really cast spells on people? Only if you irritate me enough.
Uh-huh. Like, honestly. No, I get the, are you going to cast a spell on me? I just met you. I have no reason to care.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I
I have
think you
no
get that from guys a lot. They're like, "Oh, are you going to cast a love spell on me? Really? You're not worth that time to me yet."
like, dude, I'm not even sure I like you as a human. Why do you think I'd even try?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think it comes down to there's a lot of guys, and again, I'm kind of going through dating hell right now because I'm back in the Midwest and in the worst part of it, in my opinion, as
Hmm.
far as that culture goes. And and the other thing is, men my age, there's a reason they're single.
Sometimes. Um, let's see. So I'm getting some feedback on here. It's actually not in the comments. It's in our private group.
Okay.
Jennifer wants to know if there's any way that you can turn up the volume. And hi, Craig. My friend Craig is watching us right now.
Oh, she's asking for me to turn up the volume.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I can. Let me see. I don't think. Let's see here. Can you hear me okay, Nikki?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. I'm not sure that there is anything I can do
Yeah.
with the equipment that I have at this
Yeah,
time, but
Jennifer, maybe try and turn up. Gosh, I don't know. You might just have to turn up your sound a little bit more.
yeah,
Um,
I'm not sure. And like the internet here in this part of the country has been wonky as all
mhm.
get out today.
You know what? Today's been kind of crazy for internet for us too.
Yeah.
My daughter Lizzie got kicked out of class like 4 times today.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, she was having issues yesterday too, and we know it's not the router or the extender because I'm not getting kicked off,
Right.
and our phones are showing up full bars. But
Well, and I know we've accidentally inherited a bunch of routers, long story, from the move
mhm,
out. So, but we need to fish them out and use them. But
yeah,
until then, And I mean, like previous weeks, we haven't had a problem me using the same things I always have. So, let me see here. I will try to. So spatial sound is off. I don't want to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing
So,
anything I'm willing to try that would not cause a disaster in the middle of the show.
yeah.
Oh, here we go. I just turned up Google Chrome. Is that any better?
Okay, let's find out.
So,
Jennifer threw up a comment here. I hear Nikki fine, but Diana is low. Internet is wonky. Jennifer, is Diana any better now?
yeah, since I just found a thing specific to the browser that I'm using.
Ooh, I don't know. We haven't seen anything yet.
Okay, well, just let
Um,
us know.
I can definitely hear you though, so that I know that on the broadcast, like
Yeah,
when we do the video later, it should show up just fine.
yeah. So, and that's
Um,
my yeah, and that's my main concern. Well, and it does look like I had things turned way down in Google Chrome, so I'm hearing you better now.
oh,
So
okay, good.
yeah,
Yay.
apologies to our audience for having to sit through our technical difficulties, but
I mean, what did we call it earlier? Technical difficulty Tuesday.
yes, that was it. You
Yeah,
know, aka the internet just hates you.
yeah.
I mean, it's 2020 for the internet too, and 2020 is officially a swear word.
Yeah, yes. You know what? I have dealt with a lot of I mean, we've all been dealing with a lot this year, just personally, professionally. I got to admit though, when Chadwick Boseman died,
Oh
who
God.
played Black Panther, like that was
Yeah.
it. That was it. I have officially checked out of 2020. Like I can't watch anything without crying. Like I've been fine this whole year, like taking everything in stride. That was my thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and of course, there's posts about it every day.
Uh-huh. Well, and I've been basically at best skimming the internet for the past year.
Yeah. I uh, I check my Facebook at 4 in the morning when no one's on, so everything that seems to show up there is very pleasant.
Yeah.
Or if I get an alert about something.
Yeah. I basically like will check for anything that is directed to me. I will do a quick skim through the groups and I will do like a maybe 10-minute skim through my feeds. So, if there's something you really think needs my attention, please message me directly because I'm not going to see it. If you
Yeah,
have a baby or something and you're someone important to me and, or I'm important to you, freaking tell me because I will not see it to react appropriately. And I'm so sorry for that. But this is why I have brains still in my head right now.
yeah. This.
So,
I mean, I didn't really watch the news anyway, which is good because it would just probably set me off. But the funny part is now we actually just look for the things that set us off, right?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this thing where I'm gonna see if I can show the comments on the screen. Because can you see comments on your screen?
I can. So I'm
Okay,
seeing
awesome.
from Craig and
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect, perfect. I was going to show them on the screen, but I don't know if it'll just oh no, it won't. Never mind. That's just this thing telling me what to do. Okay, never mind.
It
Just
just wants to
kidding.
hide a little, that's all.
Yeah. All right. So let's just move on to our topic tonight. We are if you this is the first time watching our show, we find things in the pagan community that bug us and we talk about it. I mean, at a very worst, we're drinking and shooting shit and complaining about stuff that bugs us. But at the very best, maybe it will open people's eyes.
Yeah. Well, and I would like to encourage, especially since in the witch's pyramid it's supposed to be to know, to will, to dare, and to be silent. I have found that to be silent has been applied in mostly very toxic ways in my years in the pagan community.
Yeah,
So I keep advocating that to be silent be switched out with to discern. There's a time to keep your mouth shut and there's a time to speak up.
exactly. And we all know that I'm not a nice obedient girl. So that whole be silent thing,
Yeah.
that doesn't always work with me.
Yeah. Well, there are situations where it has been strategic to be silent.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Let's
But it's the pick your battle things.
yeah, and we've both gotten a lot better over the years at picking the right battles.
Yes.
Um,
So what's today's battle?
yeah, and the other thing I want to add the caveat is please learn the difference between what is merely offensive to you and what would actually be damaging to you. There's a
Yes.
lot of people who say you can't do or say X and X because it offends my religion, but if it is not harmful to your life, there's a difference between someone, saying Christianity is not my thing and you finding that offensive and saying colonization has fucking ruined my life. There is a serious, serious difference, and that is part of the discernment I'm advocating because
Mhm.
what we're going to talk about is going to slap some hurt butts.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I am calling on a few people watching to practice some discernment. So, this is a behavior that I've noticed over the years, and I don't know what circles you've traveled in before you met me, Nikki. Um,
I generally, I did occasional things. I did some of the oh gosh, reclaiming. I did a couple reclaiming things, but generally I was a solitary just because my interactions with other pagans weren't always great.
yeah, yeah. And I've been involved in the pagan community for good or ill for 20 years.
Hmm.
And, each community geographically is a little bit different. There's different cultural expectations with each one that we aren't even conscious of.
Hmm.
um, which makes this more difficult because some people are expecting certain universal behaviors when it's really just specific to a culture that they've aligned with.
Hmm.
And so, Wiccans, tonight we're talking to you about, okay, especially with Wiccan elders. And here's the thing, I have encountered this, and I actually had a friend tell me this year that there was an event that I was teaching at where there was someone who was a Wiccan elder who apparently was offended when I was not deferential enough to him. Because god damn it, he was a Wiccan elder and it shouldn't matter who I was, I should be deferential. Except problem one, I had no idea who the hell he was, let alone that he was an elder.
Yeah,
Problem
that's the first thing. I think that sometimes people in those positions think that you're way more well known than you are. I don't expect anybody to know who the hell I am.
I've been publishing for 20 years on occult subjects. Nobody knows who I am or even how to say my name right
Yeah.
when I repeat it to them 4 or 5 times. There's just nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
For those curious, it's Rachel. Anyway, and please quit calling me Diane. I'm not a bar waitress from Cheers.
This is true.
I would suck at that job.
You would be way more Carla. That would be
Oh, I am
hysterical.
so Carla. I would
Yeah.
so be Carla. I would totally marry Danny DeVito. I totally would.
All right, we're tangenting. We're tangenting.
Oh, badly. Okay.
That was my
So
fault.
first of all, yeah. Well, we're both terrible.
Yeah.
um. So first of all, if I don't know who the hell you are, I can't be deferential to you. You're just some dude. Second, I'm not Wiccan. And even if I were Wiccan, if I am not part of your coven and not part of your trad, you don't have authority over me. Back up. I want to repeat this because you need to meditate on you do not have authority over people that have not consented to authority from you. Do I need to repeat that again or call your mother?
Sorry. Well, I think it I wouldn't say that it surprises me because nothing surprises me anymore, but it does make me feel a little bit better to know that you've had to deal with that too because I am for all intents and purposes a mutt. I don't have the pagan pedigree of initiations or being in a coven or anything like that. And I find that a lot of times people don't give you they don't give you an ear. They don't really want to hear what you have to say because if you don't have these certain tiers,
Mm-hmm.
then what you have to say, they treat it like it's not worth anything. And I got to tell you, I've met some kids. I mean, we've met them through the group, the people that
Amazing.
think in such amazing directions. And they've never, it's their first with us, it's their first experience with other pagans. But the way that their minds work,
Mm-hmm.
if I had a soul, I'd sell it. You know, um, and just to think that if they don't have any initiations or you know pagan cred under their belts that what they have to say is worthless. That's bullshit.
Oh yeah. Well, and this comes back to the elder culture and the ageism inherent in it, which has led to some really unfortunate things in the community, including sexual assaults at festivals on
Yeah.
just like a regular basis and in ways that, to the point where it is improving drastically from what I hear, but this is actually one of the other reasons I don't talk about why I will not do festivals,
Hmm.
is that kind of harassment and sexual entitlement is actually woven into the culture in such a way that people don't recognize it. Oh, it's the great right. Oh, it's sex positive. Well, there's nothing sex positive about forcing your interest on someone who's not interested, and there's nothing sex positive about doing it to a kid.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
sorry, I'm calling bullshit with a 2x4. Hi, I have a cosmic 2x4. I got that initiated.
Hmm.
One thing that I didn't burn when I decided to walk away from my initiations.
Yeah.
So,
And it's really just so funny because we do talk so much about consent culture.
yeah. Well, and it's a big deal to me.
Yeah, but I don't mean just you and I. I mean, the community as a whole.
And
You hear the words consent culture a lot, but
mhm.
now when you see the behavior that goes on, you have to wonder, is it just the lip service, or what's the new term that they're using about it when people talk a lot about stuff but don't do anything about it?
Hypocritical?
No, it's a term that they're using now when they're talking about, like, with the protests that have been going on, and
Oh, like armchair activism? Or,
it's like that. It's not the exact term. My brain is
yeah.
spaghettios lately.
Well, and like
Mhm.
the terms for things change all the
Yeah.
time, like almost on the 18-month cycle.
Yeah, it was a term that I hadn't heard before, but it is very hypocritical.
Yeah.
That I mean, we say it in our group all the time, is that you wouldn't have a one night stand with someone, but there are all these expectations when you get in a group of other pagans
Yeah. Well, and this is
energetically.
to rephrase the thing that I will frequently say as part of my pattern for the Emperor Norton group is when I moved to the Bay Area, there was a lot of groups that are very ritually based, and I won't have a one night stand with a person. I'm not about to get psychically naked with a bunch of strangers.
Mhm.
I won't do it. And it always bothered me that your introduction to groups is usually to jump right into ritual.
Is it not like that in other places?
It's not. Usually there
Oh.
is, yeah, usually there is like in this area, there's a witches' night out. In the Twin Cities, there's the Coffee Cauldron and a couple other groups. Um, for me, because I was at an odd age when I moved to Minneapolis, I joined the University Pagan group and became an advisor for them.
Hmm.
And it was done sort of like Emperor Norton, but not quite. It was kind of like a combination of Emperor Norton and DAR. I was an unwilling member of Daughters of American Revolution, but their meeting format usually involved presenting on a historical subject.
Hmm.
And so the student group would their meeting format was one person or a group of people in the group presented on a subject, and then if there were rituals, you had the option of joining, but you were given like weeks of warning whether or not you wanted to participate. Usually they talked about what the ritual was way beforehand, who you'd be working with. It was just very different from this jump right in.
Yeah, I actually am really surprised because that was one of the reasons why I haven't been part of a group,
Yeah,
is because there is does seem to be that expectation. Now, I'm not talking about conventions or festivals that I've been to, because I don't find that same mindset there,
no,
but when you're meeting with groups,
yeah.
for the Sabbats or for things like that, there is that.
I mean,
And a lot of people do go because they do want to take part in the rituals.
yeah,
But that's just kind of, I don't,
yeah. And I know there's
it's not my bag.
but yeah. And for me, I have gone to rituals. It usually has not the best physical impact, but this is also before I really started taking ownership of, oh, hey, I'm an empath. My energy bodies are arranged differently. I need to do things because so I don't have to go running to people to go, I'm broken and special, fix me, because most of them won't know how.
Mhm.
I know the other thing, kind of circling back to something we were saying before, is you'll get a lot of the same reactions and responses from people. And like I had an incident when I was teaching a convocation where I was teaching the empath stuff. It is way off of what's normally taught.
Yeah.
It is way off of the you are special and sensitive and need to wrap yourself in bubble wrap to move through the world. And it's not like I'm denying that. I'm saying here's how to make your bubble wrap.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's your responsibility to get your ass in bubble wrap. But I had one person raise their hand, glare at me, and say, "I haven't heard any of this before." And
That's
I just
good.
and I kind of looked at her, and it was and it was just like, well, here are places you can find stuff that I base this on. And then someone asked me something political, and she stormed out because she didn't like what I said either.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Aren't we all doing this so that we can grow and we can learn new things? Because what the hell? Why would you want to go to the same class over and over again? I mean, I feel bad that no one's ever taught this person different
Well,
ways to
this
protect
is a
themselves.
there's a fairly young person, and without spending my time, analyzing this person, it was kind of a voice of a lot of things I specifically have dealt with over my career. Is I have done the ritual things. I've learned the ritual responses. We have gotten to the point where, like, there's this very unhealthy thing, especially in white communities and white families, that we call being script people, where you're supposed to follow the script. The man is supposed to do things. The woman is supposed to do things. This is one of the reasons why there was like the anti-gay marriage movement for so long. Is if nobody's the husband or the wife, how the hell do you divide up the roles? How the hell do you follow the scripts?
No.
And I see some of the same toxicity in pagan culture where we are following the script. I'm love and light only, and like, my partner is a person who does guidance work and healing with shadow work.
Hmm.
And I've been seeing this thing about we need to limit things are bad about ourselves so we can rise above them and improve them. I'm like, no, those bad things about you are not going away, and you are not too good for your own shit.
Yeah.
You just need to recognize your shit, recognize where it stinks, and plan for it, because sometimes we're all going to be assholes.
Yeah. And here's the thing: if you can get through life being love and light, and that's it, more power to you. I'm not gonna tell you how to walk your path, but on the flip side, don't make it out to be that I'm some kind of bad thing because I'm all up in my shadow.
Well, the people that are most emphatically love and light are doing it from a place of moral superiority, and the moment you're morally superior, you are buried in your fucking shadow.
Well, there you go.
So that's how that stuff works. There's a really good episode of Friends where there's a conversation between Phoebe and Joey about no one does anything for a non-self-serving reason, and I thought it was kind of a fantastic moral discussion because it was I did this
Kind
thing, I
of
got to
true.
finish the show. It felt really good. Oh crap, I did do it for myself.
Yeah.
We are not these perfect. We are not supposed to be these perfect light beings. We are here to have the whole experience and not pretend we're too good for any of it.
Hmm.
So,
Night,
that's
and I just think I'll wallow through
yeah.
all the bad stuff first. Don't worry about the light stuff later.
Yeah, but when it comes down to the Wiccan stuff, and I talk about this a lot, is I frequently, when I'm being nice, I call a lot of modern Wicca ethnocentric.
Okay.
And what that means is they assume everything centers on their cultural assumptions and perceptions. All of us are inherently ethnocentric. We assume from what we know. These are our prior. Like, there's this podcast my partner's been having me listen to called "You Are Not That Smart" that talks about why people, when presented with facts that they are indeed wrong, will still insist on their opinion, even if it is factually disproven. And what comes down to is whatever they're being presented with conflicts with their prior experiences. And so they can't accept the new information because it doesn't fit with the memory buildup of their prior experiences, where perhaps they were right, or perhaps at one time that information was considered to be right.
Yeah, you know what, I can totally see that because I mean, even I've said it. Well, in my experience,
Yeah,
but that is it's exactly right. That's just my experience.
yeah. And experience goes for a lot. It does, but your all of my past experiences cannot inform what my next experience is truly going to be.
Yeah.
But because of those experiences, I'm going to imprint and react to it differently. And with Wiccan culture, not only like that has been set as the norm, and it was set as the norm almost strategically in the 1980s by publishers of certain books on Wicca, in part to fight off the assumption that all witchcraft was satanic. and Wicca is certainly not. But then, because Wicca became this is the good witchcraft, and then it somehow became this is the only witchcraft in cultural dialectic, which is which is colonial and marginalizing and ignores folk witchcraft, and witchcraft is a cultural practice that is damn near a cultural universal if it's not absolutely a cultural universal.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if all you've got on your plate is Wicca and Satanism, you're losing out on a whole lot.
Yeah, and I'm going to say something I would never have said 10 years ago, but a lot of Wiccans are bigots about Satanists.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah, like one of the things that's being said all the time in defense of Wicca specifically is, well, you wouldn't want to ask a Baptist what a Catholic does. And I see so many Wiccans insisting that Satanism really is Christianity without talking to a Satanist about it.
Yeah, that's
You know,
and while I am sure that there may be Satanists out there that do follow along as the perversion of Christianity, but not anyone that I've ever actually met.
I mean, that's very Black Plague era.
Yeah,
You know, people had some things to rebel against. The Catholic Church was corrupt. That's not new, but they were kind of creating poverty, misery, and slavery in calling it feudalism. I could see doing a mass backwards and trying to kill a priest. I can empathize with that need.
yeah. I'll tell you,
Um,
one of the best pieces of advice I ever got in my life was from someone that was a Satanist. And what she said to me was, just because someone tells you that something is a triangle, don't blindly accept that it's a triangle. Look for yourself. Don't be a sheep. It's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten in my life.
yeah, yeah.
As I see my little cat peeking in behind me.
Yeah, the cat named Lilith.
Lilith, my little demon kitty.
Did we, Lilith? Do you want to help us summon Satan?
Not today. She's eating. Her food's behind me, so
He's so much too important for that.
yeah.
Well, I'm too angelic. It always makes him uncomfortable anyway. Um, I mean, he'll talk, but you can see him kind of like, are we done now? Looking sideways.
Yeah. It's just there are so many things out there. It's like eating bread and butter sandwiches your whole life and someone offering you roast beef and you're going, "No, I'm good with my bread and butter."
Sometimes,
And if you are, great. But I'm like, "Give me some rare ass roast beef, man."
and I'm like, oh, that's new. I'll try it.
Yeah.
Might regret it, but I'll try it. So
As long as there's not too much mustard seed in it.
it wouldn't have been a visit for me if I hadn't inadvertently almost
Tried
killed
to
you
kill me.
one more time.
I ate it though.
You did. Did you eat all of it?
No, I didn't eat all of it. I
I
tried.
Good.
I
I'm so happy
tried.
about that. So this is something I'm going to do for Nikki. Is normally this works out better, but I will make steak tartare for her. And
Oh, she tried to kill me again.
yeah, my partner and I were having dinner at her house, and I brought the steak tartare. And I'm not going to say in my defense because this is a fuck up I totally would have made with or without the moving situation, but I added way too much dry mustard.
No, you didn't. You said before you put regular mustard in, and this time you put mustard seed,
No,
which
I
is
put
way
dry
spicier.
mustard. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So every so often, Nikki and I will do something together where she almost dies, but I've never actually killed her.
This is true. The myrrh was kind of dicey.
I mean, we're in the situation where I'm basically Kenny, and nobody knows how the hell I keep coming back. But, but we just almost kill you.
Yeah, almost.
Good organs, nice reboot.
I'm a hardy little sucker.
So yeah, sorry. I do have like mental templates of apology notes to Brad, but
Ah, he knows I'll come back.
possibly with the dirt crumbling off of you. But yes,
That's why you know that in my will I actually have a thing that I want them to just lay me out for 3 days before they embalm me, just to make sure I don't come back. I mean, if I'm going to come back, I'm not embalmed.
so we need to make make sure Dell knows this.
Dell does know this.
Good. Okay.
I think that was one of the first conversations Dell and I ever had.
Yeah, one of our favorite members of Emperor Norton is a mortician who, and they know all kinds of interesting things.
Yeah, I've learned so much. I didn't know the butt plug thing. So in case you don't know, they have like a little butt screw that they plug into corpses so they don't leak. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking about my best friend's funeral in an entirely different light.
Very true. But you know what? We have the craziest conversations for Emperor Norton.
We do.
And I always seem to walk in when we're talking about some kind of butt stuff.
Yeah, usually butt stroking. If you look up butt stroking in Wikipedia, and this is where we're probably losing all the viewers,
Nope, Jennifer's still here, I think.
yeah, well, I think she's been kind of inoculated to us. It's almost like a little bit of Stockholm syndrome going
Oh,
on.
wait, no, no, no. She's in those conversations too.
Yeah, she usually has some of the most surprising and disturbing stuff.
Jennifer has good stories too.
She does. Um,
Cremation, she says.
yes.
So
Um,
if we cremate you, can we use your ashes for hoodoo bags?
Probably not. But God,
See? See?
it's a good night for Jennifer.
Oh man, we had a viewer and then they went away.
Well, we
Damn it.
can't start talking about butt stuff.
We did. I was gonna tell them to say hi.
Aw. Well, someone will come back, and it might just be Cinti poking in, cringing, and coming back. Apparently I'm not even supposed to mention minor misdemeanors anymore. So
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you about the frozen fish that defrosted. Oh, was it? Oh,
That's not a part of butt stuff, right? I just want to make sure.
no. This sounds like a different kind of gross.
Yeah, it's always butt stuff and dead things.
Yeah, I mean, people don't like talking about death and decay. After us ranting at Wiccan elders for being crotchety and entitled sometimes. Not all of them, just enough of them to be irritated.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't like talking about the dead and decaying things. We make it a staple.
There was a frozen fish that's frosted, and it was a. Oh, so for context, Jennifer is a firefighter, so she gets to go into people's homes and see what really messed up tastes we have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it is butts.
Yeah, it is a butt stuff. See?
Oh no!
See?
Oh no!
See?
Oh.
I called it. I called it. Never underestimate the shit people do when they don't think anybody's going to know.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, they do not think their safety's through after.
Hmm.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
all those people that die through the self auto
The autoerotic
asphyxia thing. Yeah,
asphyxiation.
yes.
There is actually something topical to the occult about autoerotic asphyxiation. Um, so there is this author, Maria Neglueska, I think is her name. I'd have to look through my Goodreads, who is a 19th century ritual occultist. And bad Tumblr. And John Michael Greer wrote on the history of this far more eloquently than I can express it, and I may be misunderstanding things about that era, but you know how we talk about being sexually repressed now. Well, 19th century, early 20th century, it was really repressed.
Hmm.
So a lot of ritual lodges were basically just sex clubs with the ritual veneer. And I mean, ain't nobody not going to get behind weird ritual sex given the opportunity. Plus, if everyone's wearing the same robes, you don't even have to figure out what to wear.
Nice.
Plus, lingerie didn't get good till the 1920s. This was the way to go. So there was one particular ritual lodge that she wrote about, and yeah, the male female dynamic, and I have a whole other rant about there's more about gender energy and misapplying it and being stupid, and yes, but for now.
I'm not going to say Ouija boards.
That's the last time. But in this
Oh,
ritual lodge, one of the initiatory rituals was an autoerotic asphyxiation where they would actually put, oh my God. So
Right.
sexy.
I have to show this one on the screen just
Yeah.
cuz.
Frozen fish with dorsal spines are bad sex toys.
I'm going to leave that up for a few minutes.
I would love to know who the nurse or orderly was on call because there's some poor bastard who had to go at that with tweezers.
Right?
Yeah, nurses are underpaid. Just saying. Um, and then they have to go with.
Oh man.
So back to autoerotic asphyxiation. Um, so there was this ritual lodge where that Maria Negloeska wrote about, where there was this entire, like, she had this entire book about the preparation for, basically the initiate gets hung by the rope, they leave them alone in the room to do their thing, and then come back, and if you're not dead, yay, you're initiated.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
um that's some high risk stuff right there. And I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
sure.
for people, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, well, and can you even imagine explaining that? But I imagine that forensics is not what it was, is better than it was.
They
So,
just probably dumped him in a ditch somewhere.
I mean, they could probably they were still throwing bodies in the rivers all the time back then, and I think this was in Paris.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, when you're like, this is my two theories, that the more repressed people are, the more fucked up shit they come up with.
Uh-huh.
Which is why
Totally.
you see the worst things happening in the most repressed communities. So the more morally restrictive they are, and the more
Mhm.
they're basically sex shaming people for having bodies, the more likely
Yeah.
they're doing horrific things to them, especially people in authority.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this also tracks out to the pagan community.
Yeah. I mean, you see it. Yeah, you see it kind of all over the place. And
Yeah,
I have my hard limits, and I'm basic. I believe you don't know what floats your boat until you hit the water. But there are definitely some things that I'm like, no go.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I'm just like, I'm so picky about the way I connect, and
Yeah.
it's for a good reason. I'm
This is now
complicated.
in my hard limits now.
Yeah,
No frozen fish with dorsal fins.
I'm not into food play in general or
Yeah.
animal play in general. So,
Yeah, what am I? I'm like, no kids, animals, dead things, no scat, no blood play. I have a whole list on my hard limits.
the hard limits. Well, and mine is thanks to my partner Tom. Absolutely nothing involving pink flamingo.
Thank you.
And
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, that would no, no, like that was not negotiated well before he popped that DVD in.
Yeah, we probably should have done
I'm
what is it, IBDM? That, yeah,
well, and some hard limits in John Waters movies, but I still love Hairspray.
yeah.
And Serial Mom is pretty funny. But
No, Serial Mom, I think is hysterical.
yeah, I still haven't seen it. I may have accidentally taken the DVD with her, knowing Tom. He probably just left it there, knowing it would get hacked somehow, so I wouldn't
Yeah,
find it. Because now that he knows I'm co-parenting, they really want to see me.
yeah, that would be a hysterical movie. Yeah. I know we're going through the whole movie thing with the kids because, I mean, we're trying to find new stuff for them to watch because we're just bored out of our minds.
Yeah,
Um, we decided that 13th Warrior they probably wouldn't like. Not the
probably not.
gore. I think that they just wouldn't get it.
Yeah, that one's a little complicated.
Yeah.
Like that's more for when they're 15, 16.
Yeah, though we love that movie.
Hairspray and Serial Mom, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we've been kind of doing the introducing the kids to one because I'm raising two boys and they will sometimes be rather disparaging about girls and non-binary people.
Mhm.
So we have been doing the Badass Princess Movie Fest. So we did Brave because that was the most obvious. Labyrinth, Never Ending Story. Um, we did Gremlins just because I made a Gremlins reference. No one of them is absolutely obsessed with having a Mowgli. Um,
I like the little flasher in the bar scene. That was my favorite gremlin.
fantastic.
My favorite gremlin.
Like the bar scene, like how is this different from any other night at a bar?
Yeah.
Like honestly.
I kick the flashers out before they do that, though.
Oh, San Francisco. I thought that was part of the tradition.
No.
No, no. Mm. You know, I never do get an opportunity to mace anybody in the genitals. So one San
Meet
Francisco experience
anybody
I
in
would
the
love to
general.
have.
Okay. But you did buy me a big bag of dicks that I never got to eat.
No, but I have pictures of Cinti eating it.
Excellent.
I can show those
Excellent.
to you if you really want.
Yeah, for those of you that are not aware of the Big Bag of Dicks reference, she got me cookies from Hot Cookie in San Francisco.
So Hot Cookie is an erotic bakery in the Castro that specializes in selling things that look like a phallus.
And they're pretty tasty, actually.
Yeah, it was just they got to the point where they were old enough. I figured that you wouldn't want, sagging dick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we never like that.
yeah, so I figured that you would not be so patient with that, and Cindy tends to be kinder towards that sort of thing. So,
Oh, Jennifer says naked joggers.
but now they wear masks.
They
Yeah,
do.
we saw a couple of the naked people in the Castro, and I was amused that my partner's takeaway is he's not wearing a mask. He had electric tape on all the bits, but no mask. Come
Wow.
on now, you need to be in vogue.
Exactly.
I mean, I did miss my rite of spring this year when you've got the 70-year-olds in the banana hammocks rollerblading in a group. I missed that
God, I
moment.
love this town. I do. I
I will
do
just
love
have
this
to
town.
come back for a visit around Ostara and on a warm day just sit having pizza at Oz Pizza in the Castro and just wait for the gold lame banana hammocks to come skating by.
Yeah, see, it's not just a banana hammock, it's a gold lame.
It's a style, it's a statement.
It is. It is. I wonder if they have gold lame masks or if they're like sequined.
Oh yeah, they do. I've seen them.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And
Beta
a,
Breaker. Yeah, Beta Breakers always has really good stuff.
and a lot of nudity in costumes. Um, and a lot of people are just they start off so drunk. I do not know how they make it all the way to the ocean.
Sober or drunk, I don't know how they make it all the way there without.
I mean, my ex-wife ran it, but she did train for it for a while.
Yeah, I don't actually run.
No,
Though with the COVID, I have been unkind enough to my body that I do need to start figuring out something. And there's nice areas to kind of walk or run around here, so
yeah,
I need to do that because Mama is sore.
yeah. I'm trying to work in. I'm still doing a yoga intellectual study with my former yoga school.
Mm,
They have an online thing for spiritual warrior and the school did not get helped out in the last round of business aid,
hmm
so they are having to dissolve, which sucks. But like I'm in one of the last classes they're teaching,
What
and
were they still going to do things in Golden Gate Park
they're
or?
they're still going to do things in Golden Gate Park. They're still going to serve the community. The Purusha Seva Project is still going to exist, and that was a
Mhm,
nonprofit that um, brought yoga to at-risk kids, gave free yoga to veterans and people with PTSD.
mhm.
And they're doing sanghas, which are basically lectures specific to yogic tradition about like the next one coming up is one on confronting racism within the yoga communities.
Well, if
And
you're in the San Francisco area, anyone out there, and you can support Purusha Yoga, maybe if you can put their website in the comments, Diana, maybe people can try and see if they can support them somehow. There are so many great small businesses that have been affected by this.
so I'm going to look because I think that they may have had to dissolve the website.
Oh wow.
It looks like not yet. So, but keep an eye out. I know that the owners, let's see if I can do the comments here. Here we go. Are they going to let me comment? Okay, I don't think it's going to let me do the comments. So you may have to be the one who has to post it.
Okay,
Um,
what's
yeah,
the website?
yeah. So, but I put it in the private chat. So I know that Joy Ravelli and Eric Seed, the owners, are doing some things independently. But as far as Purusha goes, like everything they're doing is basically going to be available to the community in some way. They just can't exist as Purusha Yoga anymore.
Yeah, that which sucks because they were pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, they gave me a second home in San Francisco when I moved there.
Yeah.
The healing support I got from them and from Kristen Singer, the yoga teacher, that was huge, like a huge help and support to me during some really difficult stuff.
Yeah, even I tried yoga there.
Yeah, you like the stretchy naps.
I did like the stretchy naps. That was the best sleep I got in quite a while.
Yeah. So, and it was actually considered a good thing to fall asleep in class, which helps.
Gosh, I wish it had been that way in high school.
Did you have to have yoga in high school? Or did
No,
you?
but I fell asleep a lot in class.
A lot of kids do. They don't get nearly enough sleep, and they make the kids get up way too early. So I
Right.
took study hall, even though it was considered academic suicide, explicitly so I could get a nap during the day.
Nice. All right, so that is in the comments. I'm going to pop that up on the screen. If anyone can, or if anyone wants to give them a check out, see if maybe you can support them in some way. Another small business that has been sacrificed because of COVID.
Yeah, well, and they are still continuing their nonprofit, Purusha Seva.
Hmm.
So that is something that is definitely worth looking into because this was a, this wasn't just a yoga studio, it was a yoga school and it was initiated from Raja Yoga.
Hmm.
So, like, this was like philosophically and spiritually grounded yoga, not just, hatha, just work your body and not really engage in anything else yoga, which
Hmm.
there is a legitimate place for that. But this was something that was a lot more full than you might get in other places.
Hmm.
And yeah, I know that Kristen still is doing because I know Purusha and some of the teachers have stuff on Vimeo,
Hmm.
so it's definitely worth looking up. I know I've gotten a lot out of it over the years, and I'm looking for something equivalent in Kalamazoo, but with the coronavirus situation going on, it's going to be a while before I can find something.
Yeah.
So, um, do we need to circle back to anything with the occult stuff, or does anyone have anything witchy stuff to ask us about today?
Yeah, I would love some witchy questions. We had an oh, maybe that viewer was me. We had another person up there and then it disappeared, so that might have been me when I put my comment in there.
That's okay. People will come back.
They'll definitely come back. But let's see, what witchy stuff are we doing lately?
In my case, just trying to pull my shit together.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
I mean, I have a bunch of classes that I'm going to be teaching coming up, both in Kalamazoo and San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Wicked Grounds is going to be adding me to their magic courses as a series regular.
Yep.
So,
Another great small business in San Francisco to
yes,
support.
yeah, that is well supporting, and they have a Patreon campaign. So, for those of you that support genuine sex positiveness, adult sex education, and a safe, sober space for people to gather when it is safe to do so, Wicked Grounds is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is also owned by a practicing Kabbalist, a practicing magician who's also in the OTO. And they are running a magic series that is not necessarily 101 classes. Like, there's some classes in alchemy, there were classes in sex magic, but some really cool beyond the basics type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I have taught with them. I've taught urban magic. I've taught my Empath 101 classes and some candle magic stuff recently. But they are trying to build out that part of the business now too.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Excellent.
yeah, and you can also take classes almost any day of the week via Zoom and preserving your privacy for just about any kinky thing you can possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And learn
Which
how to
is,
do it safely, learn how to do it right, and learn how to communicate with your partner or partners about it well.
yeah. I think people underestimate kink in the fact that it really, when you are in the right environment for kink, it can teach you tools that you can take throughout your entire life. Those communication tools that you learn are
Yes.
invaluable everywhere because no matter I think what side of the kink you are on, you are definitely you're learning more about yourself. You're learning more about your valuing your worth. I think if you're with a good partner or
You learn
partners.
you learn about your boundaries, and it's almost like by being transgressive you are forced to enforce them whatever aspect you're in. And I know for me, because I'm so picky about who I connect to anyway,
Yeah.
one of the, I've jokingly said that, I prefer dating kinky people because the crazy's on the table.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've also found, because what we do is higher risk, it's either you can tell the newbies are because they're really disrespectful.
Hmm.
No matter what role you assume or what aspect you take, for people that are more experienced, everything is founded in respectful communication. And if it's not,
Yes.
they're right out.
Exactly. And I love that so many of the kinky spaces are very, like, they are very strict about that. Like, you can't, you see so many places where people are just, that they don't follow consent culture. They're very, touchy feely when it's not okay. And they just seem to think that everybody's just there to fall in bed with them. And the good spaces, they weed those people out before they become a problem.
Yeah, yeah. And it's become a movement to do so. And there are still some issues, but again, it's much more actively worked on and more actively acknowledged. And there's way less people denying that there's a problem happening.
Yeah.
So, and
Um,
yeah, Wicked Grounds has been invaluable in creating genuinely safe spaces and a space where you can screen people.
yeah.
So Jennifer was commenting about yoga having a magical side. CD, um, it sounds familiar, but I don't know as much about it. I know I have incorporated a lot of yogic work into my magical practices, whether it's the breathing exercises, or a lot of the times, like when you start a routine, it's a good idea to set an intention. And then yoga is originally a prayer form. So you're doing these prayers and moving through these poses, which is directing energy towards an intention. And I know that Jennifer has put together some really cool yoga routines that are meant to be spells.
Hmm.
I know she was doing cool, and I got it. I need to dig up the video where she did an elemental casting thing last year that we got a record of in. I want to say it was Roseville. I still, I never really got out of San Francisco enough to actually like know enough of Napa Valley and Sonoma.
Hmm.
But one of those places where the grapes and the fires go.
Yes, the grapes and the fires, yeah, pretty much. Well, it might be a little premature, but I am excited to say that Jennifer is working on a video series for her yoga, and hopefully that will be available via the Golden Apple website soon. She's working on her own website as well, but that will be something that you can find on our website.
You will be able to follow some of her classes through Golden Apple
Mhm.
Metaphysical, and we're hoping to get her in as a teacher who can host some classes.
Mhm. As a teacher, as a spirit worker as well, because she also does Reiki.
Hmm.
And then with you teaching both in Michigan and for Wicked Grounds, we're also slowly designing our curriculum for workshops through Golden Apple Metaphysical as well.
Yes, and I do take requests if it is not something in my area of expertise. I'm more than happy to go find someone
Mhm.
that fits with their shop. So there will be a bit of a healer studio. So Jennifer, my partner Cinti, me, Nikki, when we can talk her into it.
Wow.
And and there will be services like I am able to do. In most cases, I can do distance house cleansings,
Hmm.
and I have the skills for COVID safety.
Yeah.
It can be in your house without actually being in your house. I do not do this for entertainment because I am really weird about my own decoration taste.
Yeah.
But this is something. These are services that will be available.
That was just something that you said in there. Just really, it had me on another, not tangent, but another subject that I'm going to slide us into
Okay.
is oh my god, that no, I just lost it. If you know me at all, you know that my brain oftentimes will just decide mid sentence to shut off. Um, oh, now I remember. Ha ha. Um, when we were talking about that, if you don't have the expertise, you'll find the person to help them. Um, Something that I see sometimes in the pagan community, and I've been fortunate enough not to see it in the conventions that I've chosen to go to, but I have seen it with other practitioners. Is you know, I think that people forget sometimes that there is enough room at the table for all of us.
There is.
And just because I may work the same kind of magic that someone else works doesn't mean that we're not both very effective and both could be, good for whatever you need.
Right.
Or, we're more than happy, I think, with our group and with the shop to connect and consult with other practitioners that have a better skill set for what the client needs.
And this is one of the many reasons that I started the Emperor Norton group, was to get people from different traditions to sit down and talk to each other.
Hmm.
But also, like, for example, there's a certain point, there's a lot of things that people go to that's part of the scripts. Like, oh, there's bad energy in my house. Have you saged it? And sage, not only does it not work for everything, it will sometimes piss certain things off more.
Yeah.
And then we need to back up, because there are people that will talk about sage being cultural appropriation. There's a little more history to it than you're assuming.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the type of sage, because sage has been used in cultures that are not, because sage is indigenous not just to the United States, but also to European cultures. It's a different breed of sage, but there's plenty of it.
Hmm.
And it's been used, like, a lot of people do not even know that sage is an internal medicine as well. This is not the time to use it because it raises your body temperature, so
Yes.
don't be using
I
sage for
remember.
things. Yeah, sorry. Um, it's
No, it was great. It worked. I forget what we gave me the tea for, but I remember that it worked really quickly for me.
Yeah, well, because I've used it a lot. Yeah, sage pisses off my son for one.
Yeah.
Okay, so your son may be part fairy or cranky demon.
Yeah,
Um,
because I don't really like the smell. It didn't used to bother me, but now the smell of sage really does bug me. I use Palo Santo in the house if I'm gonna cleanse.
yeah, and and this is one of the things, is like Palo Santo I love, but it's also becoming endangered.
Hmm.
And I remember when it first became popular, I'm like, that's wood from a tree. They have to chop down the tree to make that happen. This is going to go badly pretty soon. I'm so sorry, tree. um, but it's awesome stuff and it works.
Hmm.
One of the things that works really well as a cleansing that doesn't really seem to piss off stuff, but doesn't work on everything. And again, this is the trick: is not everything works, and sometimes the stuff that's endangered is the only stuff that works.
Hmm.
Rosemary is a good go-to, and it burns, it cleans out really well. A lot of people don't necessarily think of it as a cleanser.
Yeah.
I know there's one that will work on spirits but not on servitors, and it is made of rare stuff. It's called Tibetan Spirit Cleansing Incense. You can only get it from one supplier in the United States,
Hmm.
or like secondary distributors. But it it's literally made from rare incenses, so from endangered trees, myrrh, frankincense, this other stuff, these other woods that are rare, and you basically have to have 108 monks, Tibetan monks, chanting over it. It's not the kind of stuff you can make at home,
Hmm.
but it does work really effectively. But one, it is rare enough, and it is made by products that are rare enough. And I don't know about you, but I do not have enough room for 108 monks in my backyard. They'd probably object to being there anyway.
Yeah.
And this is before the dog got out and licked them all. So it's not the kind of thing that I can just make or produce cheaply. It is something where, okay, if the situation is serious enough, if the spirit negotiation is problematic enough, okay, we're going to this, but this material is rare enough and the energy put into it is rare enough that you can't just use it for everything.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't recommend that. I recommend people switch out what they use anyway. One, because you can develop allergies and aversion to yourself. But it's sort of like, if you notice that if you use the same deodorant for too long, it stops being as effective.
Yeah, because your body chemistry changes. And the
Yeah,
same thing with the chemistry of your house. It's going to change over time based on, environmental factors for one, emotional factors for another, just,
yeah,
things that you might be going through in your life. And I think that we discount that.
we do. And, the situation changes. You need different stuff for different situations. Not all the time. We do need our fallback go tos, especially when we're too stressed out to think straight.
Hmm.
But if it stops working, you have to pause and go and acknowledge, okay, maybe it didn't work, maybe it's something else. Okay. And Jennifer's mentioning lemon oil and a diffuser is cleansing too. Yeah, lemon oil works. Lemon juice also works, but it doesn't smell nearly as nice as the lemon essential oil. Um, I'll use anything in a pinch.
Yeah, there's so many things that you can do, and just having those rituals Like when you move into a new place, I have certain things that I don't do for regular cleansing of my house, things that I only do when I move into a new space.
Right.
And you have to know those things as well.
Yeah. And for me, this is my first time having a partner who is also another magic worker,
Hmm.
like that I'm like living with.
Yeah.
Um, and so figuring out how to work my magic with their magic when it's always been solely on me.
Hmm.
And this is another thing is they're very animistic. They work with spirits. They've actually had people kind of be a little bit scared and intimidated by their magic because it is not within the script we have.
Yeah.
And Nikki's encountered that firsthand. Uh,
Well, yeah, I don't know. I won't say that. I mean, obviously, because I know Cinti,
right.
and they are not a person that I find scary, not because they're not capable of it, but just because I know them and they're my friend. So I don't have that kind of feeling. But yeah, it was definitely completely caught me off guard, and just the fact that when we talked about it later, look, I'm starting to itch just thinking about it. But that it was absolutely something that I, I wouldn't have believed it if it hadn't happened to me. It's one of those things,
Yeah.
and where you have to just sit back and go, holy crap.
Yeah.
These are and from a distance, no less.
Yeah. Well, when Cinti loves someone, especially their kids,
Hmm.
like like Cinti when Cinti goes mama and daddy bear for their kids,
Hmm. Yeah.
like you don't mess with their family. You just don't.
Yeah. And so circling back to something we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
for certain personages to discount that kind of magic because certain boxes aren't checked, like, is insane.
Yeah. Well, and when I was younger and I had a lot of curiosity about magic and I was still trying to find mentors, and then I
Hmm.
realized the mentors I was finding really just wanted to limit me.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of, I had one coven that wanted me to get their permission to do any kind of magic. And they were kind of co opting themselves to every ritual I created to the point where they
Hmm.
wanted me to stop writing about witchcraft because it wasn't things that they approved.
Yeah, I don't get that.
But they also like gave permission for me to mention them because they were doing outreach and then decided to go secret after they gave me permission and it had been published, and then tried to say I couldn't write because of something where they'd given me permission and then changed their mind after the fact.
Yeah.
There was just like there was a lot of controlling stuff. I got told by someone else when I said I'd like to write about these experiments, and they was like, "Well, that would look amateurish." Just this mentality of, unless you look badass all the time, it's not valid, or stick to these traditions and go through the secret handshakes. Like, okay, I understand if you want to learn the tradition, you're learning a tradition.
Hmm.
I'm fascinated by hoodoo and conjure. Hoodoo isn't one of the reasons I like hoodoo and conjure especially is it is a tradition. Like it's you can't do hoodoo without the Christian Bible.
Hmm.
That's the tradition. At the same time, it's teaching a way of thinking rather than a series of rules.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that appeals to me about it because it gives me room to think for myself.
And that's what you need. And I don't get what, well, I do get it, because people as a whole do not like to think for themselves. I'm fully convinced that people in general, not everyone, but in general, just want to be told what to think,
Yeah,
because it's easier.
yeah,
And why do you want to plod down the same roads that have been people have gone down for decades?
yeah,
Why can't we find something new? And I know I've said this before. There are conventions in that part of the country, in the southeast, where they have classes and courses on things that are just blow my mind. They're doing dimensional work,
yeah,
and those are the things that I feel like that are where science and metaphysics can meet,
yeah,
and we can finally get not that we need validation, but maybe people would be a little bit less scared about witchcraft. If they saw the place where it could meet. And I think about that stuff a lot. And and then I come out here and I see the same 101 classes a lot.
Yeah, and they're comforted by them, and it's usually within the same traditions, which are usually white and European. And and I know this is something that's interesting because I'm not a POC, but I feel I get more out of things that are not part of my culture just because they're not. And trying to understand them in their own context is challenging, but I think it makes me better at what I do. And I'm not actively co-opting anyone else's stuff. I'm like, there's the reasoning, there's the story that I've never heard, there's the origin and history I've never heard. That makes sense.
The one thing I definitely can say in the years that I've known you is that when you do undertake learning about a specific tradition, you definitely do it with the utmost respect for that tradition. You're not learning it just for shits and giggles. Like you're going whole hog into it. Talking about, POC, I am technically a person of color. My family is Hispanic on my mother's side, and I really think that a lot of the magic that comes through there, yes, it is entrenched in the Catholic religion when you're getting into Latin American cultures, and it is acceptable while you're doing it within the conscripts of the religion. But as a people, I just know from my upbringing is that a lot of times we improvise a lot because it's I don't have this. Oh, this'll do. Let's throw that in there.
Yeah,
We do experiment because just seeing my grandmother, if she didn't have something for dinner, for what she was cooking, she wouldn't go to the store and get it. What do I have? Oh, this will work. Let's throw that in. And
yeah,
it's the same way in the magical culture
yeah,
where substitution is a big thing, or tweaking things that'll work. I mean, I may have taken it to the extremes where I'm not ritual based. I'm just like, hey, if you're going to talk to me, you're going to talk to me. If you're not, you're not. I'm just going to work with whoever's talking to me.
yeah.
um, but that kind of not not being afraid to go off script.
Right. Well, and I've kind of seen some of the underlying attitudes. I actually do understand the reason for the scripts with some people,
Hmm.
because without the scripts, they do not know how to have relationships with spirits or entities.
Hmm. And I'm not saying that ritual isn't a great thing if it's something that helps you get there.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. But I think that a lot of times people do not deviate.
Um, and this is one where I would say this is definitely an ethnocentrism thing, and this is something I've encountered in one particular convention that I go to,
Hmm.
and there's been semi-public dust-ups over it because my understanding is there's one person's personal prejudice, but as a person who gets to make these decisions,
Hmm.
and it is not a group decision, who this con does not have a magic only track. And when you apply to teach at it, it has like Wicca, traditional witchcraft, general pagan, but everything has to be within a religious context.
Hmm. I
It
actually do remember that.
Yeah, the and this person, my understanding is that there's one person who is personally offended by the idea that you might call yourself pagan but not practice this subset of religions that this person specifically has decided to approve of.
Hmm.
And to me, it's almost maddening because one, it's a little bigoted, more than a little. It's basically the same crap that Christians pull on atheists. Um, but it is also it leaves out a lot of other spiritualities, and it ignores the fact that pagan spirituality is supposed to be evolving.
Hmm.
New things are supposed to come up all the time. And by creating those arbitrary restrictions, one, it's excluding a lot of POC. I know that they've started including diasporic faiths, and practices, but it's also ignoring that once again, especially Wiccans, you don't own all the magic.
Yeah, and these are the same type of people that, hedge witch is a dirty word.
Head witch, really?
Oh,
That
I,
sounds
I've
like a
I've
weird.
encountered it a lot.
Really?
Or if you say that you're a head witch or you're a kitchen witch. um
Oh yeah, that one lady who was just awful.
oh my gosh, she was so awful. God, that makes it, and I'm more mad at myself because it still makes me angry.
Here's the thing: is because I wear glasses so much, people just think I'm smarter than I am, and really I'm just better at not getting killed.
Well, we've had a lot of very interesting experiences,
True.
but and if you've ever been to our group, Diana does, take center stage a lot, but she definitely has the knowledge to back it up. I tend to just kind of sit back and watch more. And I have the conversations and I give the help where people need it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my thing because I'm more of a people watcher.
Yeah.
And I think you probably toot my horn more than I do because I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, I provide sarcasm and comic relief. That's my line.
And
That's
you're
my line.
actually quite competent and quite adept at meeting people where they're at.
Yeah. But I just like to kind of sit back and see how the flow of the group is going before I interact. And that's my comfort zone.
I'm just trying to move from being the Buffy to being the Giles.
Yeah. And people seek out the knowledge that you have, which is awesome
Yeah.
because we do help a lot of people that way.
Yeah. We do.
Which is, yeah, and I'm so happy to see that our group is definitely becoming a community that service to the community is a really big thing.
Well, it's a service community and expands to the other communities these people have.
Exactly.
It is the ripple effect as I intended it as a city priestess while I was there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I still have clients in San Francisco, so I'm like, okay, you're a musician, so you need to tap into the musical history.
Yeah.
you know, here's where your city pantheon is. Here and the city work that's never going to stop. It's just I'm an itinerant city priestess now.
Mhm. I'll tell you, so when I came to Emperor Norton was really my first interaction with people that did not have a specific tradition. And then going to Pantheacon, which for good or for ill, that was really the first experience where I found more people that were, because I'm looking at Jennifer's comment, proud hedge witch, where I was, able to see that and able to be that and able to have it as an acceptable thing,
Yeah,
where people were not talking to me with disdain.
yeah,
So for me it was a very eye-opening experience, and I don't even think I knew that existed until we met.
yeah,
And you were like, "Oh, have you ever gone to this thing?" I was like, "Holy crap, no, I didn't even know it existed."
yeah. Well, and now I think it's one of your favorite times of the year, or was until it closed down last year. But
Yeah. I am hoping next year to be able to go to the new incarnation, which
yeah,
what is it? Between the Veil,
yeah, Between the Veil, I
yeah,
think. Um,
between or beyond. I'm not sure what the new entity will be called,
yeah,
but I've been to some of the meetings that they had at Pantheacon, and
yeah. I haven't
and
heard much from them since.
I haven't, but I know that they do have a group on Facebook, and they are still working with that. I'm sure COVID may have pushed it back. I've not heard anything about it being canceled for next year,
Yeah. Well,
which I really hope that it isn't.
yeah, everybody. I know that there's a lot of people that have that do not love the masks. I don't love the masks, but we're all going to get out of this faster and be able to
If
have
we
fun.
wear them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
2 months. Be good about the masks. 2 months is really all it would take. Just two
Honestly,
months.
I'll wear that damn mask 24/7 if we could just get my job open.
Yeah,
I miss my bar.
I like to go dancing again.
Yeah. And I think and I see all the commentary about it, and I don't really comment,
Yeah,
um, because I just the energy in some of these things are too much for me to bear. But honestly, it's a mask.
hmm
It's and I understand that people have their own personal feelings about it, But this isn't about your personal feelings. In California, I don't know about Michigan, but I know in California, it is a state mandated thing that you wear your mask. So it's not about your personal freedom. It's about this is what the state has decided we need for, for the state to be able to move forward. So just, wear the frickin' mask.
Yeah. In Michigan, there's a lot of people who consider it a violation of their personal freedoms. And there was a while where there wasn't much enforcement. There was a state mandate that you're supposed to have a face covering going into businesses, and some businesses were more forceful about it than others.
Hmm.
And ours was fantastic, the safest place to shop, which is, for those unfamiliar, it's a really large hardware store.
Hmm.
Um, and the arguments about it are, this is the problem: is the coronavirus is not political.
Exactly.
It doesn't fucking care about you or your grandma or your children or you, and it wants to get up in you any way it can.
Hmm.
So, okay, and it comes down to like my attitude about drug use as a teenager. I didn't care if you use drugs. I don't care if you get coronavirus and you're not someone I care about. What I give a shit about is how you're going to impact me.
Hmm.
You hurt people I love, I'm going to raise you from the dead and bitch slap you.
Well, the problem is that these people don't think that they're impacting anyone else because they don't believe that it's a thing.
Well, because
You
it
know,
hasn't impacted them personally, so they don't think it's real.
exactly. Um, and it's just, I saw this thing and I'm completely unprepared to talk about this because I didn't know we were going to go down this tangent. But I saw a thing on Facebook, and again, I unprepared, don't know how true it is, but where this woman had a little sign talking about it was her religious, it was a religious thing for her not to wear it. I'm like,
I have
it's
been wondering if the Christian Scientists, where the Christian Scientists fall in this, but I haven't thought to ask.
it's just, what, this is a health thing. This is not political. This is not religious. And for all the men that bitch about having to wear a mask, you've been telling us what the hell we can and cannot do with our bodies for how many years?
These are the same guys that complain about wearing a condom because it might be a little less pleasurable.
Yeah,
Wusses.
you know. And of course, who's going to have to deal with the fallout? Somebody else.
I mean, every time I see somebody try to make birth control illegal or mess with it, I'm just like, do you idiots like child support? Have you
They
thought
don't
about
pay
going
it.
to
They don't
child?
care.
Well, 9 months is too long to pay attention that long, apparently.
Yeah, well,
Dumb. I'm dealing with Midwestern dumb again, so the anger, it's even more hostile than the techno entitled.
oh good, oh good. Woohoo! Techno entitled. You're getting a little break, little teeny weeny break.
Yeah, they were all teeny, but
Well, are we in that part of the show now? Well, it's after midnight your time, so
yeah, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and
yeah.
any gloves have just been off, tossed to the side of the bed.
Yeah, I would feel bad if I didn't know that you go to sleep at like 4.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to start getting up at 5 next week because we have
Oh.
kids. Yeah,
Oh, and they're distance learning, yes?
they're distance learning, so I
Good.
have to get up. If I'm going to get any of my writing done, I need to get up before they do.
Mhm.
Do my yoga, do my writing, and then, be with them for breakfast. Then I go into the office to work, and come back
Yep.
for lunch, and then come back again for dinner.
Well, see, my kids are set up in their 2 rooms separately for their classes. So yes, we see them for breakfast. They go up in their thing. I'm down here working on the table, and then they kind of come in for breaks and have snacks and then lunch, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm just kind of planning out because part of our thing is we're teaching the boys to cook.
Mhm.
So, and since he can cook, but they're not the most confident about it, so I have to be back to help cook dinner.
Mhm.
And of course, they're still getting used to weird Diana food. I tried to feed them toddler
Plants.
for a while.
Plants are those things that you eat.
Yeah, I actually have a label I had a label in the fridge. I need to do it with the new fridge. It says plants, you eat them.
Yeah, I love that. I saw that in your old fridge.
Yes, I also had something at the bottom that said evidence, and the oldest paused, looked at me, went, "What is that?" And I'm just like, "How often have you regretted asking me questions?" Which has been several times.
Hmm. Yep, that's my thing. Don't ask the question if you don't want the answer.
Yeah. Well, right now, telling them, it's Diana, so you don't want to know works, but that's not going to last forever.
It really isn't. Hey, I noticed we have another person on there. Feel free to say hi or ask any fun questions that you have. Fun, weird. If you think it's crazy, if you just want to make some kooky comment, we're open for that.
Yeah. I mean, I had someone today ask me if witchcraft could help them get more boobs in their lives, so I suggested they try growing their own.
Right?
I mean, which you can do.
Yeah. I was reading this kind of cool, I didn't really get too deep into it. I was just kind of glancing at it, but it's a cool correlation between COVID and estrogen. They were saying that in a lot of women, they were finding that when they had their periods, they were less likely to
Huh.
catch the COVID, or like their symptoms went down.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a kind of cool little correlation.
That's a self-cleaning oven, or maybe coronavirus is just inherently male, so anything involving menstrual blood will make it run screaming.
I don't know.
I mean, I have
Really?
yeah, have I scared off our viewer yet? Um,
Nope, they're still here.
I admire your fortitude.
Yeah. Hi, puppy. My dog is coming to say hi now.
Yeah, when
Wanna-
I step out, my dog, she gets very whiny when I spend too long in the office.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out how she's going to deal with having a working dog.
Oh yeah. Well, fortunately, we have not all had to leave the house yet, so we don't know how this one's going to deal with it. And here's my other kitty. Hey, kitty.
That is the most active I have ever seen Ramses.
Dude, at the old place, he never left his perch. Now he like sits on my lap. Oh, hi, buddy. I'm gonna come say hi to all the people. This is Ramses. I'm gonna see if I can turn this so you can see him a little better. That's Ramses, the cat. Um, but you can pretty much call him whatever you want because he can't hear you.
He's a couple.
Well, come up on the couch then, dipshit dog.
Fred the dog is waiting for me to
Oh,
go to bed. Oh,
yeah.
Jennifer has a dog named Fred,
Jennifer.
who thinks he's my boyfriend. And one time I brought an ex-boyfriend over, and we were wearing like we had these little animal clip-on ears, and he insisted on wearing them. I have no idea why, and Fred just went nuts.
I have a theory.
Fred sensed evil.
No, I had a theory why he was insisting on wearing little animal ears. He's an
Because he's a
idiot.
dumbass. Yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
my theory.
well, and X, if you're watching this, there is no love here.
None. None.
None. So,
I mean, I could say some really cruel, awful things, but I think I'll be nice today.
he has to be him. That's pretty bad.
Well, yeah, there's that. Ah, fun, fun, fun.
Yeah. So part of the coronavirus thing for me is like looking at 2020, going, "Oh, all you motherfuckers know how I've been feeling for the last 5 years."
Yeah.
Sorry, but I know where all the comfort food is.
Yeah, I'm trying to break up with the comfort food.
Yeah, I'm just trying to grow other comfort foods so I don't feel as guilty about them. And yeah, oh, that. um, oh yeah, there's a slight delay. I am like one of the nice things about the space I'm in now. It's much smaller than where I was living. It is not in a city, so that's a little weird because as far as the spirits I work with here are concerned, I'm supposed to be in recovery and trying to stay out of trouble. Oh, did you freeze? You froze. Crap. All right, so hopefully it is only a temporary freeze thing. So I'm going to check to see what's going on here with the having issues thing. And it is just me. So I am going to take a minute and see what's going on here. So I'm going to check in with Nikki, folks. If you want to stay tuned, we should be right back in a little bit. Okay, hi everyone. It looks like there has been some internet snafu and I am not quite able to get Nikki back. So I want to thank y'all for watching. If you would like to see more, we're here on Random Tuesdays, usually after 8 or 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 or 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Diana Rachel from goldenapplemetaphysical.com. You can also book me as a reader. You can find me at dianarachel.com, dianarachel.com, or look for my books or find me on Facebook under Diana Rachel Author or The Spirited Witch. You can find Nikki via Golden Apple Metaphysical or on Instagram as Golden Apple SF. So thank you all for watching. It looks like I need to log out and I will catch you all later. So thank you.